We're counting down the 20 forgotten Thanksgiving dishes that once ruled the holiday table, from dessert-like veggies to sculpted salads, retro breads, and tech-driven shortcuts. Some faded with time. Others sparked fierce regional debate, or came from iconic brands that shaped how America cooks and eats together. Which dish captures the spirit and nostalgia of holidays past? Let's find out, starting with number 20. Sweet potato casserole with marshmallows owes its place on the Thanksgiving table to a clever marketing move. In 1917, the Angelus Marshmallow Company hired Boston Cooking School magazine founder Janet Mackenzie Hill to dream up recipes that would help sell more marshmallows. Her booklet introduced the idea of topping mashed sweet potatoes with a layer of marshmallows, then baking until golden and gooey. The dish caught on, especially as canned yams, actually orange sweet potatoes, became easier to find in supermarkets. By the 1960s and 70s, marshmallow-topped sweet potatoes were showing up in cookbooks, label ads, and family photo albums across the country. Two topping styles split the crowd. Some families went for a cap of mini marshmallows, while others swore by a crunchy pecan, brown sugar streusel. The marshmallow version was never an old family secret. It was pure product promotion, but the result was a side so sweet it could almost pass for dessert. For many, scooping past the toasted marshmallow crust is as much a Thanksgiving ritual as carving the turkey. Would you bring back the marshmallow, the streusel, or both? Mincemeat pie once held a special spot on the Thanksgiving dessert table, especially for older generations who remembered its heyday. By the mid-20th century, the filling found in most American kitchens had shifted from the original blend of beef, suet, dried fruit, and spices to a jarred, fruit-heavy mix. Brands like Nonsuch and Cross and Blackwell filled grocery shelves with jars and bricks of mincemeat, promising the taste of tradition with none of the labor. Wartime rationing and changing tastes pushed manufacturers to cut down on meat, so by the 1960s, most mincemeat was more about apples, raisins, and spice than actual beef. Advertising leaned into nostalgia, just like Grandma made, only easier. And for many families, the ritual of opening a jar and filling a double-crust pie or a batch of tarts was a once-a-year event. Still, as frozen pumpkin and pecan pies took over, mincemeat's place faded. Now, jars gather dust in the baking aisle, but for those who remember, that first forkful brings back a sweet, spiced memory of holidays past. Would you revive mincemeat pie, or is it best left as a taste of another era? Before the turkey ever left the oven, there was always a divided tray set out on the sideboard, a signal that Thanksgiving had truly begun. These relish trays, popular from the 1950s through the 70s, offered a crunchy, salty preview of the meal to come. Each compartment held something different: crisp celery sticks, sometimes piped with cream cheese, bright red radishes, gherkins, or sweet pickles, and glossy black or green olives. Glass or ceramic trays, often with ornate dividers, turned these simple snacks into a ritual. Etiquette guides from the era called for the relish tray to be placed while the turkey rested, giving guests something to nibble and children a special task: arranging the olives in neat rows or sneaking one or two before dinner. The sharp, cool crunch of a stuffed celery stick, or the briny bite of an olive cut through the heaviness of what was coming next. For many, the relish tray wasn't just an appetizer. It was a moment of anticipation, a way to gather everyone around the table even before the main event. Would you bring back the relish tray, or has this pre-dinner tradition earned its retirement? Cranberry salad molds once glittered on Thanksgiving tables, a sweet, sliceable answer for anyone who found the sharp edge of cranberry sauce a little too much. These weren't just any gelatin salads. They started with whole berry cranberry sauce or juice, mixed with packets of flavored gelatin, crushed pineapple, and a handful of chopped walnuts or pecans. Community cookbooks and brand pamphlets from the 1950s through the 70s printed dozens of variations, each one promising a jewel-red centerpiece that could hold its own among the savory sides. The mixture was poured into copper or aluminum ring molds, or sometimes loaf pans, and left to chill until firm. Unmolding was a moment of suspense. Would the salad slide out in one shimmering piece, ready to be sliced into neat, wobbly rounds? For kids, a cranberry mold was a welcome alternative, sweeter with a gentle bounce and often easier to love than the tart jellied sauce. Some families added celery for crunch or layered in cream cheese for richness. But the real appeal was always the spectacle, a glossy ruby ring sliced and served alongside turkey and stuffing. Would you revive the cranberry salad mold, or is this one better left as a mid-century memory? In the mid-century kitchen, nothing announced holiday flair quite like a gelatin ring mold. These shimmering sculptures, often made in copper or aluminum molds, promised both drama and danger. One slip during unmolding, and the whole thing could collapse in a wobbly heap. Achieving a flawless release was a badge of honor, with some cooks displaying their prettiest molds on the kitchen wall year-round. The real showstopper was the color: lime, cherry, or lemon gelatin, layered with bits of celery, crushed pineapple, or even swirls of cream cheese. A lettuce bed was the finishing touch, sometimes crowned with a flourish of mayonnaise or a dollop of sour cream for that extra nod to sophistication. Cookbooks from the 1950s and 60s treated these salads as edible centerpieces, designed to catch the light and the admiration of guests. For some, the best part was the first slice, clean, quivering, and just a little bit absurd. Would you attempt the unmolding feat, or leave the ring mold to the era of high hair and higher expectations? Creamed pearl onions once brought a touch of elegance to the Thanksgiving table, their glossy white sauce catching the light in low ceramic dishes. The method was pure home economics. Pearl onions simmered until tender, then folded into a simple sauce of butter, flour, and milk. Some cooks added a handful of peas for color, creating a dish that balanced the warm tones of turkey and stuffing with a gentle pastel shine. Company vegetable pamphlets and holiday manuals from the 1950s and 60s called this side a company favorite, easy to make ahead and just as easy to reheat right before serving. The appeal wasn't just in the taste, but in the look. A creamy, almost lacquered finish that stood out among the casseroles and congealed salads. For many families, creamed onions meant the meal was truly special, a little more effort than everyday vegetables, but never fussy. Some remember the quiet pride in getting the sauce just right, smooth and lump-free, or the comfort of that first forkful piping hot beside a slice of turkey. Would you bring back the creamed onions, or does your table have room for peas in white sauce too? Broccoli, rice, and cheese casserole carved out its place on the Thanksgiving table thanks to church and community cookbooks in the 1970s. These spiral-bound collections, passed around at potlucks and bake sales, spread the word about a dish that combined frozen broccoli, cooked rice, condensed soup, and a generous helping of cheddar or processed cheese. The formula was simple but comforting: thawed broccoli, creamy soup, often cream of mushroom or chicken, mixed with fluffy rice and plenty of cheese, then baked until bubbling and golden. Velveeta or shredded cheddar were both fair game, depending on what was in the fridge. Unlike the green bean casserole, this second green side didn't rely on crispy onions or nostalgia for the 1950s. Instead, it was a product of community sharing. Recipes scribbled on index cards, swapped at Sunday school, and featured in fundraising cookbooks. The casserole could be assembled ahead and baked while the turkey rested, fitting perfectly into the holiday kitchen's busy rhythm. For some families, broccoli, rice, and cheese casserole was a new classic, a creamy, cheesy anchor that stood beside more traditional sides. Do you remember seeing this dish on your family's table, or would you add it to your Thanksgiving lineup today? The race to fill the Thanksgiving bread basket got a boost in 1965 when Pillsbury introduced their refrigerated crescent rolls. Suddenly, home bakers could pop open a blue tube, shape the dough into golden, buttery crescents, and have fresh bread on the table in under 15 minutes. The Pillsbury Doughboy, debuting in TV ads that same year, became a kitchen celebrity, his giggle echoing through living rooms as families lined up for that first warm roll. Alongside the crescents, brown and serve rolls offered a different kind of shortcut, par-baked white rolls that finished baking just as the turkey came out to rest. Both options solved the holiday oven crunch, delivering baskets of piping hot bread without the fuss of kneading or proofing. Supermarket ads from the mid-1960s promised fresh from the oven taste, no matter how crowded the kitchen. For many, the scent of those rolls baking that they meant Thanksgiving had truly arrived. Simple, soft, and always in demand for sopping up extra gravy. Would you bring back the pop and bake roll, or do you swear by scratch-made bread for your feast? What goes inside the turkey, or on the side, depends on where you grew up. In the North and Midwest, Thanksgiving tables featured stuffing, bread cubes, often seasoned and sometimes cooked right inside the bird. Down South, it was always dressing, and that meant cornbread, baked in a big pan for crisp edges and a golden crust. Cookbooks and county fair recipe contests from the last century are filled with strong opinions on which is better and what to call it. Oyster stuffing, sausage pecan dressing, and even rice-based versions show just how many riffs families claimed as their own. For decades, in-bird stuffing was the default, with home cooks packing the cavity and letting the juices soak in. But by the 1970s, government bulletins and Extension Service pamphlets started warning about salmonella, urging cooks to bake their stuffing in a separate dish. Some families switched right away, others held out. But the debate hasn't gone away. Just ask anyone whose grandma still insists on her way. Whether you say stuffing or dressing, use bread or cornbread, or bake it in or out of the bird, this side is a marker of regional pride and family tradition. Where do you stand in the Great Thanksgiving divide? Frozen turkeys changed Thanksgiving forever, and Butterball led the charge. In the mid-1950s, supermarkets began stocking Butterball's plump, uniform birds, each one guaranteed to roast up juicy and golden, no matter who was cooking. The secret wasn't just the consistent size, but the packaging itself. Every Butterball turkey came with a printed roasting guide, promising foolproof results for even the most nervous holiday host. By the 1960s and 70s, Butterball's name was everywhere, and the frozen turkey became the centerpiece that families counted on year after year. But the real legend began in 1981, when Butterball launched its Turkey Talk line. Suddenly, anyone with a roasting emergency, a bird still frozen at dawn, a missing giblet bag, a panicked question about basting, could call for help. Operators fielded calls from across the country, swapping stories about frantic cooks, midnight thawing attempts, and the occasional turkey cooked upside down. The talk line became a Thanksgiving lifeline, and for many, hearing a calm voice on the other end of the line was as much a part of the holiday as the meal itself. Who in your family would have dialed the hotline, and what was their turkey crisis? Every Thanksgiving table has at least one dish that ties the whole meal together, and for many families, that's giblet gravy. The process starts with the turkey's neck and giblets, those odd bits tucked inside the bird, simmered gently to make a rich, flavorful stock. Once the turkey is out of the oven, the roasting pan holds a treasure of golden drippings. Flour is whisked in, thickening the mixture into a silky sauce, and then the simmered stock is poured back, creating a gravy that's both savory and deeply aromatic. Chopped giblets, heart, gizzard, and liver get stirred in for texture and a burst of old-fashioned flavor. In some southern kitchens, a chopped hard-boiled egg is added at the end, giving the gravy a pale, marbled look and a subtle richness. Home economics manuals from the 1940s and 50s treated this gravy as the finishing touch, a mark of a cook's skill. Whether poured over turkey, stuffing, or mashed potatoes, giblet gravy is more than a sauce. It's a ritual, the final step before the meal shifts to dessert. Do you remember the taste of real giblet gravy, or has your family moved on to something simpler? By the early 1960s, Thanksgiving dessert faced a new kind of challenge: a single oven already packed with turkey and casseroles, leaving little room for anything else. Supermarkets spotted the opportunity and rolled out frozen and bakery pies, promising a sweet finish without the kitchen chaos. Shoppers found pumpkin, apple, and pecan pies stacked in freezer cases or boxed up at the store bakery, ready to bake or thaw and serve. Advertisements in local papers touted the ease. No rolling pins, no mixing bowls, just pop a pie in the oven or let it sit on the counter while the turkey rested. For many families, the brown bakery box became a familiar sight, its contents safely hidden until the big reveal after dinner. The convenience was hard to beat. Dessert could be ready in minutes, and there was no need to juggle baking schedules or clean up flour-dusted counters. Sales of frozen pies soared through the decade, and for some, the taste of a slightly warm, store-bought slice, maybe with a scoop of ice cream, became a Thanksgiving tradition all its own. Would you bring back the bakery pie, or does homemade still win in your house? Pecan pie owes its place on the national Thanksgiving table to a bottle label and a clever bit of branding. In the early 20th century, Karo syrup began printing a recipe for pecan pie right on its corn syrup bottles, promising a gooey, slice-clean custard that was easy to make and reliably sweet. Before this, pecan pie was mostly a Southern specialty, with roots in family cookbooks and regional church suppers. But the Karo recipe, corn syrup, eggs, sugar, butter, and a heap of pecans, traveled fast. By the 1960s, it was showing up in food magazines, community cookbooks, and Thanksgiving spreads from Texas to Ohio. The smooth, almost glassy filling set it apart from older, sugar-heavy pies that often baked up grainy or dry. For many, the ritual was simple: open the bottle, follow the label, and let the pie cool to room temperature before slicing. Some families swore by a dollop of whipped topping, others liked it plain, but nearly everyone agreed on the irresistible pull of that sticky, nutty custard. Pecan pie became a holiday standard not through folklore, but by the power of a label and the promise of a perfect slice. Would you bring back the classic Karo pecan pie, or do you have your own secret recipe? Libby's pumpkin pie recipe, stamped on the back of every can since the 1950s, quietly rewrote the rules for Thanksgiving dessert. The formula was simple but precise: Libby's canned puree, evaporated milk, eggs, sugar, and a careful mix of cinnamon, ginger, and cloves. With millions of cans sold each fall, this recipe became the blueprint for what Americans came to expect from pumpkin pie: smooth, custardy, and the exact shade of deep orange. But there's a twist hidden in plain sight. The pumpkin inside those cans is actually Dickinson squash, a sweet, dense variety grown specifically for its pie-perfect texture. In the 1970s, the FDA debated whether Libby's could keep calling it pumpkin, but the company argued that taste and tradition mattered more than botanical precision. They won. Libby's label set the national standard, and for generations, home bakers followed its instructions to the letter. Even today, many Thanksgiving tables feature a pie that owes its flavor and color to the Dickinson squash and a decades-old recipe that made dessert as easy as opening a can. Cool Whip arrived in 1966, promising a whipped topping that could survive a cross-country truck ride and still look perfect on a pie. General Foods shipped it frozen, a technical feat that let the blue and white tub become a fixture in refrigerators coast to coast. Unlike real cream, Cool Whip held its shape after thawing. No weeping, no collapsing, just a smooth, sweet crown for pumpkin, pudding, or any pie that needed a quick finish. By the late 1960s, it wasn't just for desserts. Cookbooks and magazine ads filled with recipes for fluff salads, those pastel, creamy concoctions that blended canned fruit, instant pudding, and a generous scoop of Cool Whip. The product sparked debates in newspaper columns and even feminist magazines. Was it a shortcut that freed home cooks from endless whipping, or a sign that authenticity was slipping away from the holiday table. Letters to editors argued both sides, but the convenience won out for millions. For some, the memory is the foil seal's crackle or the ritual of sneaking a spoonful straight from the tub. For others, it's the taste of a pie topped with Cool Whip that means Thanksgiving is finally here. Would you trade real cream for Cool Whip, or is the tub a relic of the processed food era? Watergate salad is a dish that could only have happened in the wild world of 1970s America. It started its life in 1975 as Pistachio Pineapple Delight, a General Foods recipe built around instant pistachio pudding, canned pineapple, mini marshmallows, chopped nuts, and a generous scoop of whipped topping. It was the kind of recipe that spread like wildfire, not through fancy restaurants, but through church and community cookbooks, potluck tables, and local newspaper columns. The Watergate name stuck almost instantly, whether from a hotel brunch menu or a nod to the scandal-dominating headlines. Nobody quite agrees, and General Foods never officially claimed credit. What everyone remembers is that first spoonful, a fluffy pastel green mound studded with marshmallows and pineapple, chilling in a glass bowl beside the turkey. For many kids, it was a dare. Would you actually eat the weird green pudding? Volunteers who compiled those spiral-bound cookbooks say the fluff salads were among the most requested recipes, prized for their speed and spectacle. Watergate salad was quick, sweet, and just a little bit absurd. But it earned its spot as a top 5 Thanksgiving side for one reason. No other dish could make instant pudding and canned fruit feel like a party. Would you bring back the green fluff, or is this one best left in the archives of retro holiday excess? Stovetop stuffing didn't just speed up Thanksgiving, it re-engineered it. In 1972, General Foods test-marketed a side dish that promised homemade flavor in just 10 minutes. The secret was in the crumb. Ruth Seams, a home economist at General Foods, patented a precise breadcrumb size that allowed the dried cubes to soak up broth quickly, delivering the perfect texture every time. When Stovetop launched nationally in 1973, it changed the holiday routine. Suddenly, a box could sit on the counter beside the roasting pan, ready to become an extra stuffing or a backup for the family's favorite dressing. Magazine ads and TV spots showed how the mix could be made on the stovetop, freeing up valuable oven space and precious minutes. For many families, it wasn't about replacing grandma's recipe. It was about adding another pan to the table, or making sure there was enough stuffing for second helpings. Even today, stovetop remains a supermarket staple, its red box signaling both nostalgia and a certain technical triumph. Stuffing, engineered for speed and still holding its place on the Thanksgiving spread. Would you reach for the box or stick with scratch-made? Reynolds oven bags swept into American kitchens in the late 1960s, promising a new era for Thanksgiving turkey. The idea was simple but revolutionary: a heat-resistant plastic bag, patented in 1965 by Reynolds Metals, that could trap steam and lock in moisture. Instead of wrestling with basting schedules and scrubbing baked-on drippings, cooks slipped the bird into a clear bag, tied it off, and let the oven do the work. National ads from 1967 onward boasted of moister, juicier turkey and a spotless oven. No more splatter, no more elbow grease. The secret was in the science. PET plastic could withstand up to 400 degrees, creating a steamy cocoon that meant less basting and a faster cook time. By 1970, a quarter of American households were using oven bags for holiday roasts, and by the mid-70s, that number had climbed to nearly 40%. Good Housekeeping and Consumer Reports ran their own tests, confirming that the bags really did keep turkey tender and speed up dinner. For many, pairing an oven bag with a disposable foil pan became the ultimate holiday hack, a way to spend less time cleaning and more time at the table. Did your family trust the bag for Thanksgiving, or was the ritual of basting too sacred to skip? Jellied cranberry sauce, with its glossy ruby red cylinder and unmistakable ridges, has been a Thanksgiving fixture since the 1950s. Ocean Spray's engineers perfected the can so the sauce would slide out whole, landing on the plate with a satisfying plop, a sound that became a holiday cue in its own right. Those ridges weren't just for show. Consumer research in the 1970s found that families actually used them as slicing guides, creating perfectly even rounds to fan across the serving platter. Some insisted on opening the can upside down for a flawless release, a trick passed down like family lore. The ritual was multi-sensory: the metallic pop of the can opener, the gentle shake, the sudden wobble as the sauce emerged, and finally, the cool, tart slice on the plate. For many, the sight of those ridges meant Thanksgiving had officially begun. Whether you loved it or left it untouched, jellied cranberry sauce was more than just a side. It was a symbol, a memory, and a conversation starter, earning its place as the runner-up among Thanksgiving icons. Would you bring back the ridged cylinder, or is your table team homemade? Green bean casserole didn't just join the Thanksgiving table, it conquered it. In 1955, Dorcas Riley, a home economist at Campbell's, set out to invent a dish using only pantry staples. What she created in the Camden, New Jersey test kitchen was called green bean bake, a mix of canned green beans, Campbell's condensed cream of mushroom soup, milk, soy sauce, and a final flourish: French fried onions for crunch. The recipe landed on soup can labels and in magazine ads, spreading coast to coast. Families clipped the instructions, swapped them at church suppers, and soon, the casserole was everywhere. By the 1960s, it was so entwined with Thanksgiving that Campbell's estimated 40% of its cream of mushroom soup sales were destined for this one dish. Each November, about 20 million green bean casseroles are served in American homes. Dorcas Riley's original recipe card now sits in the National Inventors Hall of Fame, a tribute to a dish that became more than a product. For many, the crispy onion topping is the best part, a genius move that turned a simple casserole into a beloved classic. Would you bring back the green bean casserole, or has your family never let it go? From the humble sweet potato casserole topped with marshmallows to the iconic green bean casserole crowned at number 1, our journey through these 20 forgotten Thanksgiving dishes reveals more than just changing tastes. It maps the rise of convenience, branding, and regional ritual on the American holiday table. The most surprising entries, like gelatin ring molds and Watergate salad, highlight a time when innovation and presentation went hand in hand, while the dominance of brands like Campbell's, Libby's, and Butterball shows how corporate recipes reshape tradition. Across the list, a common thread emerges. Mid-century America embraced shortcuts and spectacle, making dishes like stovetop stuffing, Cool Whip, and jellied cranberry sauce into sensory icons. These dishes qualified for our ranking not only by their nostalgic pull, but by how they defined eras, solved real kitchen problems, and united families around familiar flavors. Ultimately, the story of Thanksgiving is one of adaptation, where even the most unusual sides and lost classics shape the feast we know today. Remembering these recipes isn't just nostalgia, it's a reminder of how food, memory, and change are forever linked at the holiday table.